Hey, y'all. Hey, welcome to But Also, the Real Talk podcast for real life moments. I'm your host, G Dazzle, and some of y'all know me as G Daz, but most of y'all know me just as G, your friend, your girl, your sis, who's here to keep it real with you. But so just to let you know, this podcast is all about diving into life's moments that don't always fit into a neat little box because life isn't always black and white. Here, we talk about the gray, we talk about both sides of the coin where two truths can exist, those yes and moments of life. Like Black History Month is now upon us, but also I'm Black 365 a year, y'all. So here we keep it light, we keep it real, and we keep it all the way honest. So you're going to get some laughs, you're going to get a couple of kikis, and maybe a moment or two where you be like, dang, G, you just going to read my life like that? Yes. Yes, I am. And that's okay because we're all living the same life, boo. So whether you were trying to figure it all out or just trying to make it through today, I got you. So we're going to talk about the highs, the lows, and all of those messy moments in between. All right, y'all, let's get into it. All right, y'all. So as we continue our theme, today's episode is all about Black history in the making. And we have a powerhouse guest joining us, Latonya Yarbro, a two-time Emmy-nominated executive producer who is breaking barriers in the media industry. She's one of the few young Black women in her role, leading the way for others while balancing advocacy, leadership, and self-care, y'all. So give her a warm welcome. Let's welcome Latonya to the podcast.
Welcome. Oh, thank you, girl. I feel like a Shannon Sharp guest.
Hopefully even better, girl, even better. So I'm ready, honey. I'm just so excited you're here to join us today. So I want to just get into it right away because in that intro, y'all heard the flex, y'all. Not one, but two Emmy nominations, sis. How does it feel to be out here just making history in real time?
Oh gosh, I didn't necessarily think of it that way. I think it was always a dream to get nominated for something like that. But I was just like, how is this going to happen? Because I had mentors in the business who I saw them go into the ceremony and they were just such good writers, such good journalists. And I didn't know if I would get that opportunity, but I got to work on some really good stories and they were Emmy nominated. And one of those were I worked on with one of my really good friends. So I'm processing it. Sometimes I just be like, yeah, it's Tuesday.
No,
But
it's Tuesday.
but yeah, but I think sometimes like as Black people or even Black women, we're taught to like shrink ourselves a little bit. And I realized that I do that a little in my mind. I kind of downplay some of the things that I've accomplished, but I think that I'm grateful and I'm so blessed. And I know this is just like the beginning.
Girl, yes. And cousins, listeners out there, y'all know, especially from my last episode, I'm going to hype you up. I am. And you can downplay it, but I'm going to upplay it because we're going to talk about
Yeah.
some of these accolades. Like, I mean, you were honored by the Urban League as the 2024 Salute to Blacks in Media Honoree. And also on top of that, you're the president of the National Association of Black Journalists of St. Louis, also known as NABJBJ. I always butcher that, but NABJ St. Louis. I mean, do
It's a
you
lot
ever
of letters.
just, girl, ain't it? Ain't it
Yes.
though? Yes. And it's just like, what's some of those things and accomplishments that you've done? Like, do you ever get a moment to just sit back and just take it really all in?
No, because I'm always working. I think that that's kind of like the icing on the cake. And one of the things that was special, especially about the Urban League honors, is that being seen by your own people for what you're doing. Because deep down, those are the stories that I'm most passionate about. Is about Black people, the Black experience, not just like the trials and tribulations that we've experienced, but the joy, the happiness. And so to be seen by your own people is beautiful. And, I'm still waiting on an Emmy, but that's okay. Like, I think that I have a long career still ahead of me, even though I've been doing this for like the past 12, 13 years. So if this is what's happening right now and I'm still considered a baby in the business, then I know it's only up from here.
All the way up. Like, what do you
Yeah,
mean?
it's
All
up
the way
and it's
up. I know that's right. I know that's right. So that's why I was just like, honey, I'm like you said, you may downplay it, but I'm still gonna hype you up. So
Yeah, that's why I love you. Also, I have
oh,
that crew neck, and I keep looking at it. I love
I,
it.
the crew.
Yes.
Yes, for my listeners. So, in spirit of Black History Month right now, if you get a time or a chance to tune in and watch it, your girl's rocking a black crew neck sweatshirt here that has melanin with the various shades of melanin. So I had to represent one time for the culture. So thank you, girl. Thank you. But let's get back to you. The spotlight is on you, ma'am. So can you take us back? Like, what was your aha moment when you knew media was your calling? Like, was young Latonya out here directing family videos, reporting the news at the dinner table? Like, what? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so I'm an executive producer. So that means that I'm primarily behind the camera and I manage, and I explain that because I manage people who are on air. So reporters, anchors, producers, everyone that helps the show come together and make it sing. But I think the executive producer is like the brains behind the operation. And I think that that's always what I was, very peaky in the brain, and I was the brain. But when I was younger, I actually wanted to be an artist at first. I would draw and paint, and I still do that, not as much, but to this day. And then I was like, okay, I don't know if I can make any money doing this. So what else can I do?
Yeah.
And I always loved writing. And actually, my father, he drew, he painted, and he was a writer. So I think I just picked that up from him. I would sometimes get manila paper and I would make a newspaper out of it. Girl, I don't know what I was writing about.
It's the innovation at that age. Like, I'm going to make a newspaper. What?
Right. I did. I love picking up the newspaper. I love watching the news. We would go to the dollar store and I just wanted notebooks so I could write stories in them. So I did that all the time. And that was me kind of like tapping into what eventually became my career because I write for a living. So yeah, that's pretty much what I did. I was like, I'm going to tell the news or I'm going to tell stories of my own. I loved creating fantastical stories. Then I would draw pictures in them. And yeah, and I like to think of what I do now in news is like I create pictures with words. And that's the beautiful thing about television is marrying words with visuals. And that's really connects for people. So I think I was just kind of muddling along and then I kind of just tapped into something. And then the aha moment, I would say probably in college, I was interning at the NBC affiliate in Indianapolis, where I'm from. And I thought I wanted to be in front of the camera because don't get it twisted. I love the camera.
Okay. Okay. And she's
But
camera ready, y'all. Okay. If y'all see her, like, face card never decline. She's camera ready always.
Thank
okay.
you.
You're
Thank
welcome,
you,
girl.
You look good too. Yeah, so I came in as an intern that was a reporter intern, news intern. I would go out with reporters and I realized I don't really like this. I don't really like knocking on doors, talking to strangers, and then I saw a Black woman in the newsroom and she was at her computer the majority of the time. And she was kind of like directing everybody saying, you go here, you do this. And then I said, oh, I like that. I love to manage a project. So I found out she was a producer and she kind of took me under her wing and she taught me what a producer was, which is a person who writes the show. They find the video, they craft the broadcast. And so that exposed me to something else. That was kind of like my aha moment. Like, I think I can be a producer.
I love that. I love that so much. Just even thinking about girl, honestly, you still have me stuck on making your own newspaper and then drawing the pictures within it. I was like, well, come on, storyboarding. You better storyboard at a young age and not even know that's what it is. And it's so amazing to hear that and just kind of see and hear how everything kind of came full circle for you in that realm. Because it's almost like when you got something and a calling within you, those gifts are just naturally in you and they build over time. And it's just like you didn't even know at that time when you were storyboarding that, where you are right now. So it's just like just to hear that origin and to see it in its greatness now today. That's what I'm like, don't tell, just don't miss your shout there. I was just like, I love when gifts are just instilled in people and they just use them. I love it so much. Thank you for sharing that. So,
Thank
and
you.
even you are so welcome. And even as you shared about, the woman that mentored you and took you underneath that wing, like big ups to her because, it's moments like that that we need to do more of when we see that in someone where it's like they have a question or they have an interest to nurture that and show them the way. So I'm glad that you were able to get that mentorship and, continue to pave the way. Even now, as we think about it, you've mentioned that you've been in the game for a while, but yeah, you're still kind of considered baby at the same time. To me, I'm just going to say, girl, you've climbed the ranks. You have climbed them. And I know you're still climbing, so it's only great things to happen from here. So just kind of keeping that in mind with the ranks that you are climbing, what would you say has been the biggest surprise about working at the executive producer level?
Yeah, I would say the amount of work isn't so surprising because I figured that things would get a little insane,
Yeah.
and I like to stay busy. I'm like ping, ping, ping. But it's been more so like the people aspect. It's a lot of people management
Mm.
because, the industry that we work in, it's
Mm.
not easy. And I
Mm.
said I'm so used to talking to other journalists, but you are a media professional as well. Um, it can be taxing. And
Yeah.
so in order, I feel, to get the best output from people, you have to like see them as a person
Absolutely.
and their whole life, and that includes like sometimes things that they bring in with them to the newsroom.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I motivate you? What is it that gets you going? What inspires you? And how can we like clear out all the noise and focus on what you're good at so that way we can accomplish this product? I thought it would be way more focusing on journalism, like telling good stories and crafting newscasts and, working on these big projects. But a lot of it, I feel like sometimes I'm a therapist and I'm like, well, shoot, I got therapy on Friday.
Okay.
Like, now I'm therapizing you. But I
Right.
think that that's part of what I like about it as well, because a good leader like sees the human in people. They don't just
Mhm.
see their output.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And it's so crazy that you mentioned in terms of like the people management aspect. And, sometimes, that's not something that we always take in consideration, especially as we develop and get into these leadership roles. It's just like, wait, I gotta manage y'all too, and your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings. So and that can be a lot. And even as I think about it, just even as a woman in this space, but even a young Black woman in this space, like I feel like you're in a space where it's very rare to see Black women at this level. And so just even thinking about where you are in your career, especially it's just like we don't see a lot of faces that look like ours higher up. And
Yeah.
so it's just like, kind of not necessarily carrying the weight, but it's just like
Hmm.
you're pretty much you're the face. You're
Hmm.
leading the charge.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So I think that something that I'm a little used to,
Mm-hmm.
just because I feel like as I was growing up in Indiana, it's definitely more mixing that goes on than where I live now in St. Louis. So I was used to having to interact with people who didn't necessarily look like me.
Yeah.
However, I still went to a predominantly Black high school. I was predominantly around other African Americans. But once I went to college, I really got used to this idea of like, oh, yeah, like I'm in a minority group and I still have to, and this is what corporate America is going to look like.
Yeah.
So that's something that I think college kind of prepped me for, but it does get lonely sometimes not seeing other people like you.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
of my background, I have a different experience than probably a lot of the people that I sit in the room with. I'm African American. I sit in predominantly white rooms. And so that those people don't necessarily know the Black experience. Or for me specifically, I came from an impoverished background. So there are certain stories that I'm going to be interested in. There's a certain perspective I'm going to have when it comes to people who are living in disenfranchised areas, who are struggling with food insecurity, who are first generation college students.
Mm-hmm.
That because that's my life. That's what I lived. So I think that actually makes me a better journalist. And it also makes me a good manager because I know what it's like to come from the gutter.
Yeah.
And then, just make it out the mud. And so I have so much empathy for people. But also I have to learn how to set a boundary and not let my empathy override, the job that we need to do.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's given me a more full experience of life. I feel like I've lived a few lives before I got to this age. But yeah, that's part of the reason why I love being a part of the National Association of Black Journalists and being the president of the St. Louis chapter, because I'm around a lot of people who look like me. And who can also some relate to the same experiences. So we're able to come together, create community, fill each other up, and then go back into our respective newsrooms or media outlets or wherever it is that we work. And you have a little bit of a boost because even though I may not have this here, there is a space that does have that for me.
And I love that. And having those spaces, I feel, are so important, where you do have that sense of community, that sense of familiarity, where you're able to at least have it even operate as a safe space where you guys can have those conversations of relatability. And it's so important that you guys have that. So I'm happy that you do have that space and that NABJ allows that to happen. Did I say it right?
Yes, girl. Yes, I was like,
let's say all the letters.
Yeah.
and something you touched on a second ago in terms of being able to balance everything. And it just makes me think about it just as Black women in general, because let's be real, Black women in leadership often have to work twice as hard, be twice as prepared, but also somehow have to stay graceful under all of the pressure and under all of it. And it's not always easy finding that balance of it all. For you, how would you say that you do manage that balance for yourself?
So as far as balancing that, luckily I've had some great mentors, like I told you. So they kind of put me on game long before I got into this management position. And I do feel like I was able to ease into it because I started off as a producer doing my own show. And then I eventually became an executive producer. So one of the things that my first mentor taught me, her name is Dina Fry. She actually is a supervising producer for American Black now. She's worked for CBS Mornings and Face the Nation, but we met on my internship. Okay. And she told me, whenever you go in for a job interview, whenever you're going to a job interview, basically going for a higher position, you need to come prepared. You need to come with a portfolio. You need to have this, this, and this. You need to have a website. And I was in college. I was 21. I was just listen, I'm just trying to graduate. But she was already getting me in that mindset of how to think like a leader. And I feel like I was thinking like an executive producer long before I became one. And so as far as also being in leadership, I have another mentor. He's an anchor. And he told me, you need to know the most in the room. You need to basically, before you even come to work, make sure you watch the news. You need to know what the big headlines are today. You need to know what the stories are. That way, when you come in later, you already know okay, working night side, you have this. And then this happened earlier in the day. And I have this context from this that happened last year. So basically, it is still in that same vein, though, of having to work twice as hard to get half the recognition. And I've been taught that ever since I was younger. I think that's just a reality that a lot of Black children face, your parents telling you that. And I've seen it. Yeah. We're not allowed the luxury of being mediocre. We're just not. We have to be exceptional. And for some people, they might feel like that's respectability politics, because that is true. You are going to be treated how people want to treat you. And sometimes it does not matter how good you are, but I'm not going to give you nothing. Okay. I'm going to make sure that I dot my I's and cross my T's before I even come in the room. So that way, I'm able to just basically be on the offense. I'm firing on all cylinders. So that's one thing. But at the same time, I try to balance that and that workhorse mentality with the fact that I'm a human too. And I'm not just all what I can produce.
Yeah.
So I block out my day. And so like even behind me, that is like a dry erase board that says, okay, this is my goal, what I want to accomplish from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Mm.
One thing that's really important to me is like doing yoga. I do that every Sunday. That's kind of like my reset for the next week. It allows me at least 1 hour. If I don't get any other time, I have 1 hour to focus on myself and pay attention to my body and my needs and my wants. That way, if I show up for myself, I can show up for others. So I have to pour into myself. And I had a therapist tell me one time, she said, you an extrovert, but like you too extroverted. Like you need to sit down. You
What
need
is
to sit
too
down.
extrovert?
Yeah, that she was saying that like basically I would pour all of my energy into other people and I would leave nothing for myself. So by the time I got home, I was depleted.
Yeah.
And she was saying basically don't work yourself to depletion. So that took me a long time to master that. And so now, whereas I used to have an issue like being at home by myself, and I took that as isolation, I love it now because I can reboot.
Girl.
And then be able to, go back out there and give the kind of energy that I want to give to other people, that I want to give to my career and my passions and things like that.
Yes. Well, shout out to the therapist for telling you to take care of you. And I think that is so important. And especially as Black women, just women in general, but it's very easy, like you said, because we have to work twice as hard and do twice as much. We don't always take care of ourselves, and taking care of ourselves is something that usually gets put on the back burner. And it gets to the point where it's just like when you're pouring into everybody, you're pouring into everything and all of these buckets within your life till what is left for you, what little drops are left for you. So it's just like, I am proud of you, Miss Ma'am, for taking that time and saying, no matter what, if it's no more than an hour, this hour is mine. Can't nobody have it. It belongs to me. I choose to do with it what I want. And yoga is that thing that fills you, that gives you that center and helps you to recalibrate. So I am proud of you for owning that time and taking it because it's so important. I always say if you're no good to yourself, you're no good to others. And it's just like how they say it on the planes, they say put your safety mask on first before you start saving the world. You gotta put your
safety mask on.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
And I think that's so important. It's so important. And, it's just like, it's something that it's easy for us to put on the back burner, especially when you're on go mode all the time, where it's just like, all I know is go. As an extrovert myself, I get it, girl. My mind will be racing from time to time. I'm like, ooh, slow down. Like, take a moment, take a breather. And I always have to ask myself, is this on fire right now? Can this wait 5 more minutes? Like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. Take the breather. And so I'm proud of you for owning that space for yourself with that hour and just making sure that you have that dedicated time for yourself. So kudos to you, Miss Ma'am. Kudos to you.
I
You are so
appreciate
welcome.
It's been a long journey getting there, but it's so important.
It is. It is. So, and thinking about that, we talked about, kind of finding out that we talked about that balance and what that looks like, but kind of want to flip it a little bit, so we can kind of get on the lighter note here. But what would you say has been the most rewarding part of holding this space and just being that representative for other young Black women that are coming up behind you? Because it seems like you've talked about so many great mentors that have extended their hand to you. So what's been the most rewarding part of holding this space and being that representative for other Black women coming up behind you?
The most I feel like big sis, and I'm the youngest, so I'm used to being little sis. But I love mentorship, and I love having the opportunity to kind of open the door for other people like somebody did for me. And I tell people this all the time, that I didn't get to this point just for myself. Like, I don't feel like there just has to be one of us. I worked this hard so that way I could open the door and let other people in. And so that has been the most rewarding part. I had an intern just within the past year. She was kind of trying to figure out what she wanted to do. And then she worked along myself and another producer for some months. And she said, I think I want to be a producer. And then I was like, okay. So I kind of coached her just like a mentor coached me. And we talked about where she wanted to work and what city she was interested in. And she got a job. And I was so proud of her. I was like, oh, like I was able to help facilitate this, but really it's just like helping someone else see their light. Absolutely. And lean into it. And so and that's part of what we do, even like with NABJ STL, we mentor like high school students and we teach them about different facets of journalism and communications. And I remember sitting in those same seats, like watching other Black professionals talk to me. And I know how much that meant for me because representation is so important. So that kind of was like a full circle moment because I remember being in high school, like just hoping down the line, like, oh, I hope I'll be able to do something cool like that. And now here I am doing it and I'm teaching another young person. And I feel like that's really what a lot of this is about, is showing, because we are still, as Black people, doing a lot of firsts, even though we've been killing it for centuries.
And
girl. So, yes. So I think that we still have a lot of work to do. Yeah. And we still have a lot of doors that need to be opened. And sometimes that door will only be opened if one of us is there waiting on the other side. So that is what's important to me. And I even had, my mentor, just like her mentor told her, she said, all I ask for you is to do this for someone else. And so I vowed to keep that promise.
I love that. I love that. And it really is about, it's just like thinking about the shoulders that we stand on and then also remembering to continue to be part of that ladder to uplift those that are coming behind us. And the fact that you're able to, and like you said, it's such a full circle moment to be able to see the fruits of that labor. And it's such a great example of what a leader is someone that does elevate the people around them, not put them down or just keep them there. But it's just like, you want to see them grow. You want to see them move on. It's just like, be better than me, do those things where it's just like, I want you to achieve. I want to see you shine. And if there's any way that I can help you get there, like someone has done for me, let me pay it forward. And I love that I'm glad she got the bag. I'm glad she was able to secure it. She got the job. So kudos to sis. Like, congrats to her. So I love that so much. And it's just so important that we do have that type of mindset because, a lot of the times within the community, it can be a crabs in a barrel type of situation. It really can. And so we need those trailblazers like yourself to continue walking that ground and paving that pavement where you're just like, hey, my hand is extended. Like, come on, sis. Like, we're in this together. Like, I want to see you make it, and I want to see you excel and achieve and do all of those great things that your heart desires. Especially, if it just happens to be in the same industry as me, then okay, let me brush my shoulder off a little bit. Glad I could hold the torch for you.
Period. Yeah, like I think it's like important what you said about it can be a crabs in a barrel mindset, and that's what I was speaking to with, like, it doesn't have to just be one of us, and I feel like that's a very plantation mentality, and we got to get off that type of thinking. Girl. Because we have work to do. Like, we have other people that need our help, and it's lonely. At the top. It's lonely being the only person that looks like you. So why would I pigeonhole myself in that way? And I know there's so many talented Black people. When I go to the National Association of Black Journalists conference every year, and that's part of what exposed me to that greatness is like seeing people who were working in Dubuque, Iowa, all the way to Entertainment Tonight, all in the same rooms. And they're just normal people. So I was like, I want to be that. Like, I want to be a person who is successful, but is down to earth, and, you know, we can still kick it. And so that's relatable. And so, like, that's what I try to show when I go into these spaces. Like, with I don't need anybody to put me on a pedestal or anything like that. But I also, yes, give me my flowers, because I love that. But
Yes.
I'm a human just like you, and I'm no better. I'm no better than the janitor that's in the that's coming and cleaning, as opposed to the general manager. We're all humans, and we deserve to be seen. And some of us, we just need that one opportunity. We just need one person to say yes.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that will open the door for everything else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as you talk about that, you were talking about, you know, going to the conference, the annual conference that the association puts on, and just listening to you, I can only imagine how impactful that must feel and just powerful. It's usually like when you're in that space and you're surrounded by so many talented individuals. And it's just like, you know, a lot of them, we're all coming from the same areas, different backgrounds. And it's just like, hey, we're in this space together. What regardless of all of the various levels that may be in that room, just to have all those levels of greatness and great minds and just relatability, it's empowering. It's empowering. It's empowering and rejuvenating, also known as empowering. So that's my mix of that word.
Okay.
But it has to be a rejuvenating feeling just to be like, look at all of this Black excellence in this room. And it's just like, just anytime I'm in a space like that, it just like, it feels me so. And it just lets me know that I'm moving with purpose. My role in what I do is important, and I'm making an impact. And these are the people who are making those impacts with me in their spaces as well. And even as we kind of talked about that line of thinking or that mindset of that crabs in a barrel, or just even more so bringing people along, I always say it's just like, hey, like, there is room at the table for anybody. Like, there is enough out here for everyone to get it. All you got to do is pull up a seat. And here's the thing. And if there's not a seat at that table, don't worry. I'll create my own, and I'll pull up a chair over that way. Or I'm going to get my little stool and sit it right in between these chairs and pull
Like
on
this.
up. Okay, pull on up. Like, go on, scoot over, man. Scoot over. There's enough for everybody. So it's just like the table is big enough. It's wide enough. So it's just like we can definitely come through this together. And we're so much better and stronger together as a united force versus apart or divided. So it's just like, once again, I think it's so amazing that you have that space, Miss President, as well, and that space is created, but it just allows that excellence and that greatness to shine through, and just really, it's just also is a testament of how important it is to have those spaces, and that you all do meet annually. So I love that. I love that so much. If y'all can't tell, like, I'm a fan, like, I'm fangirling over here. So, you know, I'm trying not to like stumble over my words too much, but I'm low key fangirling over here about everything. So I just had to let y'all know that.
She a fan.
Hey. I was like, hey, if you know, you know.
Right. I love it. We have to celebrate each other more. I mean, like, there is still some elements, you know, as you get older, you think, okay, we're older, people are going to be more mature sometimes, but there is a little bit of high school, even as an adult.
Girl.
And I'm a big girl's girl. So I'm like, let's celebrate each other.
Yeah.
Like, we're all sisters.
Yeah.
And so I want to see my sister do well. Like, and even I'm so proud of you. Like, with starting this podcast, I want to celebrate you as well, because we often have these like big ideas. And it takes so much bravery to just follow through on your heart and just like say, you know what, I'm just going to have faith and create this thing. So yeah, like, I want you to know that I celebrate you as well. And we are celebrating Black history within you too.
Y'all, she's trying to make me cry. She's trying to make this mascara and eyeliner that I work so hard on. She's trying to make it run, y'all. She's trying to give me the raccoon eyes, but I'm a thug. I'm not going to shed a little thug's tear. I'm going to be good. But no, in all sincerity, thank you. Thank you. I received that with the love that it was intended and shared. So thank you, girl. I appreciate that. Okay. So even thinking about that as we continue to move on, and, you know, as we think about your path, and that right now, like, you are pretty much, you're paving your own lane. And so as we think about this, what advice do you have for aspiring Black women in media who see you and think, dang, that could be me one day. I want to be just like her.
Yeah. I would say one piece of advice I would give is don't be afraid to be in community with people who inspire you and create with them. And there was something that I heard from Issa Rae so long ago when she was like making her YouTube show.
Oh, I love Issa Rae.
I
That
think
was a
it's
throwback
what.
too. I love that. Like I was a big fan, like
Yes,
early, like awkward black girl, like I had me in a
yes,
chokehold, hooked from the get go.
yes.
So I love it.
And I was watching an interview she gave about that. She was saying during that time, she was just like, I collaborated with my friends, and you don't have to like reach a certain level in order to create something beautiful that will be significant. You can do it now.
Yeah.
And you can just reach across the aisle. And then there's something that this friend has that's innovative, that we can do this and we can create this and we can come together, and that can expand your mind and open up opportunities that you may not have even expected. And so I think that's important. It's not just you. Like, we are in a community, and like we can do great things together, and we need each other a lot. Especially the higher we go up, there are less of us. So you need to make sure that you are leaning on someone that you really can trust. When the lights go off, when the show is over, and when you go home, who is the person that I can call that can pour into me so I can continue doing this another day? Because there are days where I felt like, I don't know if I can continue doing this, because, it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
But like, I have so many people that are rooting for me. And instead of focusing on the negative, I focus on the positive, and like all these people that have come around me who have like lifted me up.
Yeah.
Either in my darkest moments or in my greatest moments, leaning into that. Because we all we got.
Girl, we are. We are all that we got. And I align with that so much. I've always said it's just like, I don't need a whole team around me, but as long as I got a couple of a good few where it's just like that really hold me down, like it makes such the difference. And that's why, you've heard me refer to like the village or the circle or those that who are surrounding you, because it's moments where it's just like where you may feel the weakest or where you may feel drained the most, or it's just like, oh my gosh, I have given all I got. I ain't got no more to give, where they come in handy the most, where it's just like, don't worry, I'll help you. I'll pour into you. I'll spare some of my drops to pour into you, because that's how we do. We support and uplift each other. And I think that is so important to have that surrounding you, because sometimes it really does make those dark, cloudy days feel and seem a little bit brighter. And it's just like, you know what? Because of your belief in me, because you're cheering me on the sidelines, I am pushing. I'm pushing to the finish line, because I hear you. I hear you calling my name. I hear you cheering me up. I hear you uplifting me. So it's just like, I'm not going to let you down. So it's like, you know what? I got about 10 % in me that I can give to push me across this line, and I'm going to go ahead and give it. So I think it's just such a testament of having those people around you to uplift you and be there for you. And I love that so much. And girl, like, in the words of Miss Issa Rae, I'm rooting for everybody black. And that means I'm rooting for you too.
Right. Everybody black.
So, everybody black,
See,
I'm
she
rooting.
said that again.
Yes, I love it. And it's such, even though the first time she said it, it might have been just something right off the top of her head, but I don't know if she realized just how impactful those simple line, those simple little words mean, and the weight that they carry, where it's just like, yes, no, I am rooting for everybody black, because we need to be rooted for. And if we ain't rooting for ourselves, who's going to root for us?
Right. So yeah, I too am rooting for everybody black.
Okay, all right. So now we're going to switch it up a little bit. So something, we're going to head into my next segment that we're going to call it a little rapid fire. We're going to do a little rapid fire questions, a little this and that. So,
let me get
all
loose.
right. Yeah, like I say, get loose. Got a couple questions. All right. So, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Morning news rundown or late night edit sessions?
late night edit sessions.
Okay, all right. Glam up for a big event or sweatpants and self-care at home?
Glam up for a big event. I'm extra.
It's okay, girl. It's okay.
Yes, you look good,
It's
baby.
all okay.
You
It's
look
all
good.
good. Because I mean, I like because sometimes you got to put it on, and you got to
And I'm
pop
gonna
out and
put
show
that in
them.
the show.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. You got to put it on and pop out and show them sometimes. Let them know.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So, favorite self-care ritual when the job gets hectic?
Oh, I like skincare. So I have this like skincare routine that I've been doing now. So yeah, I like lighting candles
Yes.
and like taking a bubble bath and then doing like my skin routine. I need to get a steamer. And just like moisturizing and just really taking time and paying attention to myself. It's like dating yourself.
Yeah. Yes, it so is. And first of all, y'all, she says skincare. And I just to let you know, if you're watching with us, you can see that the skincare routine is routining because the skin is flawless. Okay. Melanin is moisturized. Melanated and moisturized is the theme right now
Thank
because
you.
she looks good out here. That's what's like, I might have to ask you afterwards, girl. What are some of them skincare tips?
Oh,
So,
of course. Yeah.
yes, I'm gonna have to ask you what it is now. And yes, no, I love that. I love that. Get into it. And trust me, I didn't had a time with me, myself, and I. Didn't have us a good
Yes,
time.
we done
Okay.
had a time
Yes.
last night.
Okay.
Okay.
Let them know a time was had. Okay. With just me, we had a ball. All three of us did. Okay. All right. So I gotta ask, who's on the playlist when you need a motivation boost? When you tell her, hey, pass me the ox, this is what you putting on.
Oh, a motivation boost.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. So I actually have been lately, I've been listening to a lot of Kendrick Lamar, GNX.
Okay.
Sometimes I like to squabble up.
I mean, sometimes you got to.
Yes, sometimes I be in the Dodger blue.
Period.
Like I love to dance.
Yes.
And like that's a good it has and then reincarnated. Sometimes I be feeling reincarnated.
Yes.
You know, so that's what really gets me hype right now, actually. It gets me motivated. And I'm like, okay, we going to the Super Bowl.
Okay. Girl, yes, I feel you. Every time it comes on, I'm like, Kendrick, what are you doing to me? It makes me just want to
What is happening?
Start quip rocking, throwing up signs out of nowhere. Like I'm over here, my shoulders start moving. Like, hold up, wait a minute. Like, Kendrick, what are you doing to me?
Right.
It's just
I'm not even from LA.
okay.
Like,
Oh, you're talking about some West? Like what? Yes. No, I love it. That's solid, girl. That's solid. I think and the culture backs it. So I'm here with you. That's a good one. That is a good one.
Thank you.
Yes,
now, his arch nemesis, like, I enjoy that music too, but I feel like I can't really talk about that right now.
Yeah. And Kendrick did his big one with this album because it was, I don't know if he realized, I mean, he may have. He's something like a little musical genius, low key. So he's doing something. He shocked the culture with this one, and we're riding with it. So I was just like, come from Kenny did it.
So
he did
that's my man. I'm gonna stick beside him right now.
Okay, stick beside him, girl. Stick beside him. All right, okay. So, it has been a blast. But before we go, tell the people, girl, where can they follow you, support your work, and keep up with your journey?
Yes, love it. Okay, cool. So on Instagram, you can follow me on Louis Vuittonya. That is LOUIE. Vuitton, VUITTONYA. I didn't know how to spell Louis Vuitton when I first adopted that nickname, so no judgment.
We judge, we don't wait. How's it go? No, we listen, we don't judge.
We don't judge. Yes. Okay, and then on Twitter, you can follow me on Latonya Yarbro, LinkedIn Latonya Yarbro. I feel like Facebook Latonya Yarbro. Yes, those are all of, and you can find the link in the bio.
Period. Well, you heard it. You heard it from her herself. And like I said, talking about extra Louis Vuittonya because period. Enough said. But also make sure you follow my girl out here so you can keep up with her journey. So with that, y'all, that is a wrap on today's episode of But Also, the Real Talk podcast for real life moments. And if you're feeling what you heard, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube so you never miss an episode. And hey, while you at it, Make sure to share it with the cousins, your friends, anybody else who you feel would get a kick out of this here episode. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at @butalso_podcast for more real talk, behind the scene moments, and all of the vibes in between. And so thanks for kicking it with me. And until next time, keep on keeping on, keep thriving and surviving, and embracing all of your moments, the good, the messy, and everything in between. I'll holla, y'all.